Last time we were talking about conservation, which is the last lesson in chapter 16, this is section 5. We said conservation means to save things, and we what really talk about now is the conserving of the nature or natural resources. Okay, so conservation, it has methods. We have different methods of conservation to save our natural resources, and as a result, we save our ecosystems and our planet Earth. So, conservation methods, this is the key concept we were talking about yesterday. They can help to protect and restore ecosystems. We have to follow different methods of conservation to protect and restore ecosystems. Okay? From depleting from resources, natural resources. Okay, and this will keep the, as we said, the ecosystem stable. Okay, now what is important about conserving is to save and conserve these resources for the future. All right, we said that there are some sustainable development manages resources for present and future generations. What is the meaning of sustainable development? These are practices or methods. Yes, Dilara, can you tell us what is the sustainable development?
Yes, it is like a practice in which natural resources are used and managed in a way that meets current needs without hurting future generations.
برافو، يعني احنا عم نعمل development sustainable development. That means احنا we are using some methods or practices. هدول الميثودز والpractices meet needs the things that we need. يعني it will supply us with all the things that we need, but at the same time we don't hurt the future generation. Okay, so in this way, by using the sustainable development method, this will help the resources to meet current needs and will be available for the future use. تمام؟ هلا هدول practices, we have different types of practices. زي عندي مثلا أنا لحظة في some of the students are joining. Okay, I have to accept them. So في عندي مثلا أنا in timber أو timber industry, they started use sustainable development or practices. Okay, شو يعني timber industry؟ هدول الاندستري that where they use the wood, okay, from trees عشان to use them for many industries, to make furniture, to build houses, we can use wood for many purposes, right? فالتمبر اندستري هاي اللي هي الاندستري بتعتمد على الخشب اللي هو الوود بلشت تتبع السستينبل development practices. Okay, like what? Who can tell me some of the sustainable development practices that they follow? هدول التعاون المختصين ب cutting of the trees. يلا يا. Let me hear from Mirna. Good morning, Mirna. How are you? Hello, Mirna. نشوف زايد. How are you, زايد?
How are you, Miss?
Morning, how are you? يلا, can you answer me, يا زايد?
Miss, I now just getting what's the question?
هذا احنا we talk about it yesterday. احنا we were talking about انه في عندي sustainable development methods. شو يعني sustainable development methods؟ احنا عندنا طبيعة، صح؟ natural resources. هاي natural resources فيها animals، فيها plants، فيها insects. احنا لازم نحافظ عليها، لازم نعمل conservation. تمام؟ فعشان نعمل conservation في شيء اسمه sustainable development method، يعني طرق استعملها to conserve this ecosystem او this natural resources. فاهم؟
فاهم.
تمام. هلا في عندي انا من الاشياء او مثال على كيف استعمل هذول السستينبل براكتسز او ميثود هو بالصناعه، صناعه الخشب، التمبر اندستري. هدول المصانع what do they need for this industry, for their factories؟ شو بيحتاجوا هدول المصانع يا زايد؟
كهرباء.
مش بيحتاجوا خشب؟
بيحتاجوا خشب.
من وين بدهم يجيبوا هذا الود؟
من الشجر.
طيب هلا لو احنا ضلينا نقطع الشجر in the forest، هل هذا إشي منيح للنيتشر، للطبيعة، للإيكو سيستم؟ is it good؟
لا.
طب عشان هيك هدول التمبر اندستري اتبعوا إشي اسمه sustainable practices. شو يعني sustainable practices؟ يعني طرق وأساليب تقدر تستعمل فيها أنت الخشب بس بطريقة تحافظ فيها على الطبيعة. فهمت؟
فهمت.
كيف؟ هدول إذا أنا بدي تفهموا شو يعني sustainable development practices، هم طرق أو ways أو methods used بتخليك أنت you can use from the nature، تقدر تعمل cutting للتريز but at the same time you have to cut in a way that don't hurt the future. في كانوا زمان فرجتكم امبارح بيعملوا clear cutting. The clear cutting is Dilara, can you tell us about this؟
The clear cutting is like cutting a lot of trees. So several companies they choose to cut like selected trees.
يعني كانوا زمان شو يعملوا او في لهلا ناس يعملوا كلير كاتنج. شو يعني كلير كاتنج؟ يعني بيجوا بقصوا كل شيء قدام على الارض، خلص بقصوه كله وبياخذوا اللي بدهم اياه واللي ما بدهم اياه بيسيبوه. تمام؟ هلا هم استعملوا sustainable development practices، صاروا يقولوا ايش كيف نقدر نستعملهم. let's cut selected trees، مش كل التريز، نقص بس التريز معينه. ليش؟ لانه هدول التريز مثلا في عندك انت تريز بيصير لهم ريبرودكشن في الخريف بالاوتم، في عندي تريز لا بالصيف احسن تقصهم عشان يرجعوا يطلعوا مره ثانيه حسب الويذر. فانت بدك تختار، كانوا they have to choose what when امتى and where، وين يقصوا وامتى يقصوهم، عشان اذا قصوهم بهذا الوقت ولا بيرجعوا بيطلعوا، اذا قصوهم بالشتاء لا بيطولوا. فهو عندك انت هدول بالاندستري التمبر اندستري صاروا يستعملوا sustainable practices. ليش؟ to conserve more trees. بدل ما يعملوا clear cutting for the whole trees لا صاروا يعملوا selecting، يعملوا cutting for selected trees. وكانوا يحطوا in consideration، يحطوا في عين الاعتبار انه هدول التريز when to cut them، امتى اقصهم بالوقت المناسب. اوكي؟ هل if I cut them will affect other organisms ولا لا؟ كيف الافكت؟ ممكن يكون هدول التريز habitat for many living things، بيوت للعصافير للانسكت. they select they choose the trees. هاي واحدة من sustainable practices. والsustainable practices هدول اللي هم develop بنستعملوهم مين؟ الفيشيرز، صيادين السمك. اوكي؟ صار احنا عندنا يلا مين ما بده يصيد يلا بصيد. تمام؟ فهو هذا over fishing without any laws شو راح يصير؟ راح يأثر على الثروة المائية. فممكن أن يصير عندي extinction for different types of aquatic life، لهم انقراض. وإذا هذا they extinct what will happen is they will not come again. إذا انقرض الحيوان ما راح يرجع. تمام؟ فهدول الجلوبال فيشيرز كمان they start to برضه adopt، يتبنوا او صاروا يستعملوا different sustainable practices. وحكينا من هدول sustainable practices، تخيلوا انتم اضلني انا اصيد سمك كل يوم نفس نوع السمك. طب هذا الفيش بده وقت to reproduce عشان يتكاثر. اذا انا كل يوم عمالي بعمل fishing طب هذا النمبر اوف ذا فيش will reduce، ما في وقت يرجع يتكاثر مره ثانيه to reproduce. فقالوا ليش ما نعمل rotation of catches؟ مثلا نعمل هذا الويك we will catch this type of fish، بعدين the other week لا نعمل catching for other type of fish. rotation بالدور. ليه؟ عشان to give time for the off species to recover themselves، يرجعوا يتكاثروا مرة ثانية. Do you understand the first method? Do you understand the first method?
I understand. You kind of lost me.
Sorry, Tasneem.
I kind of don't understand. I'm a little confused. You kind of lost me.
With what you are confused? هذا I explained yesterday يا تسنيم. What confused you?
The last part.
Which last part? What are we talking about?
The method thing.
The rotation? Yesterday you told me you understood this.
Oh wait, never mind.
Rotation catches. We are talking about some sustainable practices that the global fishers, the صيادين, fishers, they use. Why? To conserve the natural resources. Okay? صار عندنا overfishing وصار everyone can fish anytime. This overfishing can cause some شو اسمه aquatic animals to be extinct over time. They may extinct and we keep fishing and this overfishing it's very harmful for the aquatic life. فالglobal fishers they started to use these sustainable practices like what? The first type of these practices and rotation. They use rotation of catches. Rotation يعني they catch one type مثلا today or tomorrow for 1 week وبعدين they will catch another type. Why? To give time for the off species اللي أخذت off they don't catch from it to recover themselves, to reproduce, to make a new generation. Do you understand now?
Yeah.
So this one way to conserve natural resources, to stop overfishing. كمان fishing gear review يعني when they use the fishing gear احنا قلنا ايش fishing gear? It is an equipment used for fishing زي النت زي عندي النت في عندي like بيكون عندي thick thread they use في عندي نت بتكون الجيرز من metal. Sometimes when they drop these fishing gears and they will pull it up this will تعمل destruction للسي فلور. طب هذا السي فلور فيه living things. It may kill some of the living things. It may kill some of the phytoplanktons that live there. صح؟ It may destruct some habitats in the sea floor. فالfishing gear review they have to use the proper fishing gear that does not destruct the sea floor or affect the sea floor. At the same time, they use the fishing gear. يعني sometimes when you put a net in the ocean, high net it will take many types of living things, many types of fish. No, don't take everything. Take the one that you want and let the one that you don't want to go back to the ocean. You just select what you want. Okay, you have to review it before you take the fish. Tamam? Do you understand?
So they only catch the ones that they're looking for, but anything else is just.
Yes, imagine انت يا تسنيم you drop a gear, fishing gear اللي هي زي النت كانت metal طيب many fish types trapped inside it. Okay? طيب انت you want certain type. هلا it's not the time to catch this type. لا, this is the time to catch مثلا the big fish, not the small fish. If any small fish trapped it, لا, get it back away inside the ocean. And at the same time, you have to choose the way and fishing gears that doesn't affect the sea floor. لأنه بتعمل destruction بالliving things that live there, the habitats in the sea floor.
Okay.
تمام؟ إذا هي عندي هي طريقتين بتستعملوهم الصيادين. Rotation of catches, fishing gear review. ثالث طريقة, the third type of sustainable practices هم harvest reduction. No, we have to lower the harvest. يعني لازم يكون في عندي أنا laws, okay, to harvest in a certain amount. It's not open for everyone to harvest. Harvesting يعني fishing we mean harvesting anytime as much as you want. لا, لازم يكون في عندي limit for the harvesting. And fishing bans. Fishing bans mean stop fishing in certain areas. يكون في عندي certain areas فيها some types of aquatic life animals that they are listed as endangered or they have to be extinct. They stop fishing in these areas. تكون ممنوع fishing ban for in some areas. تمام؟ إذا إحنا حكينا هلا we talk about sustainable practices that use in harvesting. شو يعني in harvesting؟ harvesting يعني يا إما harvesting plants يا إما harvesting animals like the fish. So conservation here is to save the natural resources. And to save the natural resources, we have to use methods عشان to keep these natural resources for the future. These methods are called sustainable, they are sustainable development methods. What the meaning of sustainable? The sustainable يعني to be continued for the future. These methods were used in harvesting. First, in harvesting the plant, they use different ways to harvest the plant. Rather than using the clear cutting, they use the choosing or selecting trees. And in harvesting the fish from the ocean, also they use sustainable practices like rotation of catches, fishing gear reviews, harvest reduction, and fishing bans. إذا إحنا هلا حكينا عن how we use sustainable practices in harvesting, either harvesting plants or harvesting fish. Do you understand, guys? Hello?
Yes, teacher.
Clear?
Yeah,
Tasneem, are you sure?
I got it.
تمام. إذا هلا إحنا عن إيش what we talk about? We conserve what?
Conserve, what's the question?
What we talk about now? Conserving what?
Natural resources, right?
Yes. What did we use here? Sustainable development method in what? In harvesting. Either in harvesting يعني cutting trees the plant or in harvesting fish.
Okay.
يعني احنا تعلمنا هلا كيف نحافظ على الثروة المائية اللي هي the aquatic life, how to conserve the natural resources in aquatic life when we harvest it, when we fish it for fishing method. We كمان learned about the conservation of the plant, the trees, of the wood by using some sustainable methods like cutting, choosing which tree to cut rather than clear cutting. يعني احنا تعلمنا هلا how to conserve natural resources by harvesting method, sustainable harvesting method. مظبوط؟ Clear, guys?
Yes.
Dilara, is it clear?
Yes, it's clear.
Tasneem?
Yes. Are we going to talk about this now?
Yeah. هلا now there are conservation practices focused on a few species but benefit entire ecosystem. هلا احنا حكينا عن before we talk about conservation practices يعني while we are harvesting plants or fish. هلا في عندي conservation practices they focus in a few species. يعني they focus بيكونوا حاطين عاملين list. They know which species are endangered. زي عندي هذا this is an aquatic species, it's called manatee. هذا الماناتي موجود في الأطلنطيك Ocean, and they observe that the number of these or population of this type of animal become decline. They reduce in number, and they are يعني endangered. There is danger to become extinct. فبيعملوا list for the endangered species, and they want to protect this species. Why? Because this species, if they protect them from extinction, they will protect they will protect their habitat. To protect this species, they have to protect its habitat, صح? And in its habitat, there are another species that live in it. If this habitat is protected for this animal and enough food for this animal is available, no hunting is allowed for this animal will recover itself and will start to increase in number. If you save this animal, which is endangered, you will save its habitat. And if you save this habitat, you will save many other species that live in the habitat. So they focus كمان is on conservation of the endangered animals. If they protect this endangered animal, the whole ecosystem will benefit. Okay, and these animals that are wrote in the left as endangered animal and should be protected, بيسموهم umbrella species. They call it umbrella species. Why? لأنه if you protect it, it acts like an umbrella. It protects all the organisms that live in this ecosystem. If you protect this animal, other species protected because they share the ecosystem. Do you understand?
Yes,
So,
teacher.
question. So it's not just only us protecting the ecosystem. Is it like other species or other organisms that live in the ecosystem as well?
Yeah. As a result, if you protect this endangered animal, this animal has a habitat, صح? And
Right.
he's in an ecosystem. هذا الecosystem, he is not the only animal that live in this ecosystem. Many other small fish, sometimes of phytoplankton, other maybe octopus you will find, many other types of organisms live in the same habitat, صح? هلا
Right.
if you want to protect this species which is endangered, you must protect its habitat. How you will protect its habitat? أول إشي, you will keep its habitat having all the food, all the things that they need, no hunting in this place, okay? So if you keep this habitat and you protect its habitat, you are protecting also the habitat for many other organisms that share the ecosystem, that share the habitat with this animal. So this species is called as umbrella species. Umbrella لأنه if you protect this species, okay, you will protect many other species that share the ecosystem with this species.
Okay.
Okay, so a list of species. So هاي طريقة كمان for conservation. They focus on a few species. بحطوا إنه they write list for the endangered animal. هذا endangered, you have to keep it, you have to save it. هذا endangered. So to keep or to save this animal, they must keep all the supplements and the need for this animal. And the endangered species, هذا بنسميهم endangered species act. هذولا like company or يعني agency works to protect individual species in extinction. هذولا they are called umbrella species. لأنه to protect the species you have to protect its habitat. And why it's called umbrella? Because when you protect it, you will protect other species that share the same ecosystem. Anyone has any question about this guys? Is it clear now? تمام. هلا في عندي أنا there is something you have to keep in your mind. If you protect the earth resources, that means you are protecting the future. This is easy. If I don't protect, the future will have يعني some fear to be depleted from resources. But if you protect the earth resources, you are protecting your future. ففي عندي أنا agency بنسميه for the environment protection. هذا agency they created in 1970 some laws قوانين. To protect the earth resources, there were three laws established by this agency. To regulate and to protect the environment, protect the earth as well. هدول اللوز كانوا three. أول law بيقول لي Clean Air Act, Clean Water Act, Endangered Species Act. طيب, what do you think the law of Clean Air Act follows? What's the regulation? What we must do to make this action and to keep the air clean? أعطوني some activities or things that we can do to keep the clean air. يلا, give me example. Who would like to raise their hand?
What exactly?
طيب, في عندي agency which is responsible for the protection of the environment. They created three laws, policies. Why? To regulate, to protect the environment. هدول three policies and laws were for protecting air, water, and endangered species. يعني أنت to protect the environment, you have to keep the air clean. To protect the environment, you have to keep the water clean. To protect the environment, you have to keep the species, the animal will plant, protect them from extinction. صح? Right?
Right.
طيب, how we keep the clean air? How we keep water clean? يلا, tell me some activities to keep.
Maybe for clean air we should stop maybe processed stuff that we do, that we make them in all the machines and all the stuff that pollute air. We should stop and start maybe organic.
ممكن, yes. We should reduce مثلا الفactories. Factories should be very away too much from the
and machines.
الماشينز الأوتوموبيل that we use اللي هم الكارز وهدول كل هذا البرنينج من الفوسيل فيول بيعمل pollution for the air. إذا decrease the pollution of the air. How to keep the clean water? Decrease pollution of the water. Endangered Species Act. Stop hunting. Reduce your fishing. Stop clear cutting for trees. صح? Right?
Yes, and don't pollute the water.
Right.
Yes. إذا أنا عندي عشان to protect the earth resources.
Or like increase.
Sorry, Tasneem. Tasneem, you have any questions, dear?
Nothing. You just said it anyways.
Yeah. So, for protecting the earth resources, it is important to protect our future. وفي عندي agency, هاي special agency was created in 1970. They developed policies or laws to regulate the environment protection. And these are the three laws. اللي هم Clean Air Act, Clean Water Act, and Endangered Species Act. Clean Air Act يعني keep your air clean to protect your environment. How? Reduce burning fossil fuels. Reduce air pollution by reducing fossil fuels burning. Reduce water pollution. Stop throwing trash in the water of the river. This is one action. Endangered species. Stop hunting. Lower hunting. Don't overfish. You understand? فعملوا هدول اللون. لقوا when they use different methods that reduce the pollution of air, this makes the concentration of some chemicals in the atmosphere they reduce. الwater كانت مثلا كان عندي 13% water كانت fresh. When they follow these laws, صارت amount of fresh water and clean water become more. When they make these actions to prevent or to protect the species, endangered species, now the number of the species started to rise up. Okay, you understand now؟ تمام. هلا كان في عندي ناشونال بارك، هدول الناشونال بارك سيرفيس هيلب مانج بابليك لاند. يعني نعم يس تسنيم؟
nothing.
اوكي هلا في عندي كمان شغله they used that. كان في عندي زمان public land، اورجيكم اياها بفيديو next time او حورجيكم I will send you the video link. كان في عندي land in United States. هاي اللاند هاي عندي picture of it. I will send you a video to see how beautiful it was. كانت هاي اللاند عباره عن public land. Everyone can go and enter there. كان فيها a lot of plants, animals, nice resources, very nice. هلا people, all of it's public, so everyone can go to this park. It was like a park, and many resources were destructed, depleted. So they stopped keeping this park for public. They just make it as national park, okay? And in this national park, there were services to protect this land. High National Park فيها a lot of living things and a lot of resources that you should save. تمام؟ هلا I will send you the video about this national park in America. There are several ways that people can help to protect the environment. في شيء كمان احنا as a human we have to make some activities to protect our environment. Like if we keep increasing in population growth in our numbers, we will need more resources, more pollution will happen, many things will affect the ecosystem. Let's control the population growth. Okay? And the number of births, rate of number of births, it should be lowered. ثاني شيء, develop sustainable technology and practices. We have to follow the sustainable technology and practices. Okay? Our technology, we have to use it and develop it to sustain the resources in the earth. Like the one we talk about in the stop clear cutting مثلا, stop overfishing. Okay? في عندي شغلة I want to show it to you here in the book also. Okay, 1 minute. Let's do 2 minutes. Let's finish it. Okay, I will take the attendance now while I'm explaining. Hon, you have to know these. So, protecting natural resources is important, and we say sustainable earth, to keep sustainable earth. These 3 points. We have the ability to control how fast our population grows by controlling birth rate. We can develop technology to produce more food. Yani if you use the technology, you use technology to produce more food and to produce less waste, to be enough for the people number or population size. We have the ability to change our practice and take action to protect and maintain ecosystems. يعني مثلا reduce cutting trees, reduce hunting. Okay, هلا no place on earth are untouched. حتى no one go to a place, but هذا الplace was touched by humans. Why? Because from the air pollution. Air pollution will move and go further places. So these places are touched by humans, but in an indirect way because of the pollutant. Okay, guys. Do you understand the lesson? Is it clear now?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Tasneem. Okay, I want to take the attendance penalty. Don't leave, please. مين طلع؟ راحت على اللي طلع. Okay. Just a second. I want to take the attendance. إن شاء الله إحنا on Sunday we will start a new chapter with a new lesson. But we will review this again. Okay, don't worry. Take goodbye and see you. You can read now.